Caitlin Clark's Team USA snub just got way more controversial because the Olympics have started and nobody is watching Team USA Women's. In fact, of all women's Olympic Games, Team USA has had the smallest attendance. For the best team in the tournament who always win gold, that's absolutely insane. We can safely assume that if Caitlin Clark was on the team, considering the fact she sold out arenas at every level she's ever played, that wouldn't be the case. USA Basketball is clearly regretting snubbing Caitlin Clark, and we have official confirmation of that now. Dawn Staley, a member of the USA Basketball Committee who helped select the team, basically admitted they messed up by not choosing Caitlin. Dawn Staley is a professional. She's PR trained, and as a member of the USA Basketball Committee, you have to read between the lines a little bit to understand what she's really saying. She can't come out and specifically say Clark should have made it, because if she does that, the next question is, Ed of who? Then she would be under pressure to say who Caitlin would have replaced on the current roster, which would then be throwing a current USA player under the bus and would cause a huge distraction and ultimately jeopardize their bottom line, which is to win gold. But she basically said that if they were to do it all over again, Caitlin Clark would be on the team because she's playing head and shoulders above a lot of people. A lot of people obviously being players that were included on that USA roster. Dawn Staley isn't wrong. Caitlin Clark was arguably the best player in the WNBA in the month of July, averaging 20.3 points and 14.6 assists per game. Those numbers are absolutely insane, and since being snubbed by USA Basketball, she has been on a tear. Fever coach Christy Sides wasn't lying when she revealed Clark told her that USA Basketball had woken up a monster by not choosing her. These were the numbers Clark was averaging prior to the announcement, and these are the numbers since. Caitlin Clark, in her rookie year, has been on a revenge tour, defeating and outplaying several USA players in the WNBA, such as Diana Taurasi, Brittany Griner, and Kahleah Copper. The Fever beat them twice. Clark had 20 points and 13 assists in one game, and then a near triple-double in the other. Against Breanna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, and the Liberty, she had a triple-double with 19 points, 13 assists, and 12 rebounds. The Fever beat them too. She had 17 against the Lynx in a win, defeating Collier and the USA Basketball coach. And then she beat the USA Basketball coach again when the WNBA team at All-Star Weekend defeated the USA Basketball team. Caitlin Clark has beaten them all on multiple occasions, and at this point, there is no denying that Caitlin Clark is already one of the best players in the WNBA. She leads the entire league in assists. She's clearly the best passer. It won't be long until she's the best shooter. She's rewriting the record book. Every other game, she breaks records. You would think that in a star-studded team with so many talented players, you would choose the best passer who can find the other stars and get them easy looks and involved in the game. Now it would be disingenuous to ignore the fact that the USA roster was announced prior to Caitlin's dominant stretch, and she has improved a lot since then. But then again, every other country at the Olympics didn't officially announce their team until July. USA did it at the beginning of June, which was earlier than any other country, and doesn't make any sense. If you're choosing a team based on the current WNBA season, why would you announce it so early where players have only had a few games to show what they can do? Surely you'd want to wait and see who's performing the best and select the best players based on a larger sample size. But listen, Dawn Staley isn't the problem here. I actually respect that she came out and admitted it. In fairness to her, she's always shown and supported Caitlin. After her team USC defeated Iowa in the national championship game back in April, when she could have easily made it all about her and her team who just won the title, she still made time to show her appreciation to Clark. This brings me to the main person I believe is responsible for Clark's exclusion, and that's the person who tries to deflect any accountability in the decision-making process despite clearly feeling some type of way about what we call the Caitlin Clark effect. That's head coach Cheryl Reeve. She is somebody who does not like the fact that Caitlyn gets as much attention as she does. Earlier in the season, she called out the WNBA for their Caitlyn Clark-centered coverage and not promoting other WNBA games on League Pass. Since then, she has given some eye-opening answers whenever asked about the situation. Right here, ahead of the Lynx game with the Fever, Reeve was asked about Clark's inclusion, and she said, "Why the hell would I answer a national team question? I'm wearing the Lynx and I'm the head coach of the national team, but I'm not the chair of the committee. Anybody want to venture into anything else?" Then again, after the WNBA All-Star Game, when Clark broke the record for most assists for a rookie, she was asked if she had any regrets about Clark not being selected, and said this: "Any second guessing here about not having Clark on the Olympic team? From me? No." Then again, when asked about the fans in Paris rooting for other teams because of the decision to snub Clark, she said this: "There's going to be a lot of people cheering for that other side. I mean, get two shits." I find these responses to be alarming because usually when a media-trained head coach is asked these kinds of questions, they make sure to give a correct PR answer where they show some kind of support and appreciation, maybe acknowledge how great said player is, but at the same time give reassurance that they are confident with the decision they made. That's all Cheryl Reeve had to do, but she chose to do the complete opposite. She straight up in this case said no without elaborating or giving any explanation. She doesn't go into detail. She just shuts it down as if it's a question not worth answering, and she does this while at the same time not taking any responsibility and acting as if as the head coach of the national team, she had no input whatsoever as to who was selected. This is where I think she's full of BS. I would imagine that the U.S. Basketball Committee, which is made up of coaches like Don Staley, would understand the importance of fit, chemistry, and things of that nature when you have such a talented pool of players when trying to put together a team to compete and win. I don't believe that the head coach wouldn't have any say or input as to who gets selected, because if she didn't, then you could end up in a situation where the players chosen do not align with the coach's style and how she wants to play. Coaching matters, play style matters. I just don't believe when a group of people are coming together trying to select a team that they would exclude the coach who's the one that's going to be there in Paris every day trying to win with a certain group of players. I also wholeheartedly believe that Cheryl Reeve understands how good Caitlyn Clark is, because in the WNBA All-Star Game with great players all over the court such as Eriko Vemboa, who went off for 34 points, Reeve set up her team to face guard Caitlyn Clark full court in order to get the ball out of her hands. That's why she only had 4 points and a near WNBA record in assists, because Team USA's entire game plan was to get the ball out of her hands. That's how you defend superstar players. That's what NBA teams do against guys like Luka Doncic and LeBron James. Try and stop them individually by any means necessary, even if it allows somebody else on the team to get going. If that doesn't highlight how good Caitlyn Clark is already, not much else will. Originally, when Caitlyn Clark was first snubbed, all of the outrage was around the missed opportunity to grow the women's game on an international scale, to promote the game's next superstar globally for TV ratings, sponsorships, and interest. Clearly, with the U.S. attendances so far at the Olympics, that has proved to be valid. If Caitlyn Clark was there, people would turn up in numbers. We even saw the few fans that did turn up to the game holding signs about Caitlyn Clark. The USA Basketball Committee is really feeling it now, because they're realizing that Caitlyn deserves to be there on merit. There are not 12 players in the WNBA better than her right now. What frustrates people the most is the fact that they've tried to gaslight fans into justifying this decision, completely ignoring the fact that exceptions have been made in the past. USA Basketball has historically honored the tradition of selecting a college player, not just in the men's with Christian Laettner, Emeka Okafor, and Anthony Davis, but it happens on the women's side too. Diana Taurasi, while at UConn in her junior year, was chosen to play for Team USA. Candace Parker was chosen while still in college in 2008 before playing a WNBA game, and the best example was when Breanna Stewart, before playing a WNBA game out of Yukon, was chosen to play at the Olympics in 2016 ahead of Nika Ogwumike, who was MVP of the WNBA that year. Despite the fact that Nika was already a regular with Team USA, having attended all the tryouts and having played for them at the 2014 FIBA World Cup, her exclusion over a college player back in 2016 caused just as much controversy. When you consider the fact that Caitlin Clark is already outperforming several WNBA players and was performing to a level similar to past college players like Taurasi and Parker, it's not a reach to suggest she would have been good enough to make the USA team on merit even while still in college. Overall, the way this has all played out, as much as it's been great to see Caitlin Clark continue to dominate and grow her game, it's sad because not only has it been detrimental to the USA's chances and interest in these Olympic Games, but it has been detrimental to Caitlin herself. The knockback, heartbreak of not making it after all the hard work, the conflicting emotions of wanting to support your teammates who you get on with and support but knowing you deserve to be there with them, the reality of them trying to say you're not good enough, then outplaying them all while still being left behind. It can be tough. That resilience and dedication can only take you so far. When you experience such an unfair moment in your career, it can really affect you mentally, especially when it feels like everybody's rooting against you. Caitlin Clark has made people root against her because of how good she is. But what makes her different is that she always comes out and proves people wrong. She uses it as motivation and has been doing that her entire career.